Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's version of our masterclass series, Unleash Your Superpower, how to tap into your God-given purpose to create extraordinary impact and fulfillment in your life. So I created this series because, of course, I believe with everything that I am, that we are all gifted with unique skills, personality traits, experiences, and of course, talents for a purpose. And what I know for sure is that many of us never actually tap into that for various reasons, perhaps insecurities, perhaps we don't feel worthy, perhaps we never take the time. And what inspired me to create this series is to inspire you, ideally, to really do the work to experience that next level fulfillment and joy that comes from tapping into your purpose. So this series is a straight up resource to inspire you to create the possibilities that your heart really craves, that perhaps you've never allowed yourself to explore before. So we do promise that with every interview, you're going to have an action item recommended by our speaker. I strongly encourage you to take action, because we can talk about this all day long, but if we don't move into action, it's really not going to do you much good. So I'm your host. My name is Katie Stewick. I've been a certified professional coach for about 12 years, and I have a calling, and that calling is to really support and really walk with professional women who have maybe lost their way so they can reclaim themselves, their purpose, and their life in order to create freedom, confidence, deeper connection, and of course, impact. So today, I'm really excited to introduce Adrienne. Adrienne, I would love to hand the mic over to you. Who are you? What is it that you do?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I am Adrienne Rivera. I am a spiritual business coach, and I'm also the founder of Breath of Gold, which is a breathwork business. We have breathwork every week. We lead retreats, and we also facilitate breathwork facilitator trainings for people that want to facilitate breathwork for others. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. And I was sharing with you earlier that how I started out as an entrepreneur, it all began back with fitness. And before even that, like backtrack to the very beginning, I was an in-person fitness instructor. And it got to the point where I was having a lot of fun, but I was like driving from one gym to the next and teaching like 15 fitness classes a week. My body was breaking and it was a lot of fun, but I knew I was meant for more. And so one day I saw an ad that really sparked my interest, and they said, like, are you passionate about fitness, but you're ready to like completely, help more people and like not be trading time for money and not be driving from gym to gym. I'm like, yep, that's me. So not too long after that, I went online, started a business, created a best-selling book, created a podcast, did all the things, had a lot of success. And then I found myself right back where I started, where I'm like, well, this isn't really, I don't know if it's my purpose. Like, it doesn't feel as fulfilling as I thought it would. And so that's really where I fell in love with business and helping people find their purpose, helping people monetize their gifts for the world and what they love. And also really supporting people with breath work. Because if it weren't for breath work, there's no way I would have clarity in business. There's no way I would have gotten where I am as fast as I was, because there would have been no direction, no clarity. So I really love supporting people with bringing in breathwork to their business practice, so that way they can find the alignment within themselves to see what old belief systems get to go, what's no longer in alignment for them, and to really get the spiritual downloads from the universe, from God, from source, to fully move forward with alignment rather than just doing something because they should, but doing something because their soul and God is like pushing them to move forward into their purpose. So that's really what I'm passionate about.
Love it. I love it. As soon as you talk about that with such passion, that thing that pulls you, I'm like, yes, yes, yes. That's exactly what we're talking about today.
Totally.
So how would you describe your faith journey? Like, what does it mean to you? How did you get to where you are? When did you realize that it mattered to you? You talk about this spiritual download. How did you come to see that was important?
I love this question. So I grew up going to church, and for a long time, church didn't really resonate with me. Mm-hmm. I felt like I had to sing in the choir or else I was going to go to hell and burn. I felt like I had to like mumble, what is it? The Our Father who art in heaven, like, forgiveness prayer. I felt like I had to do that every week. And I'm like, something doesn't feel right. Like, why am I asking for repent every single week? I'm not a bad person. I didn't sin this week. Like I did good things, It just kind of felt like this doesn't feel like I found God. Like there was one moment actually in church where I did feel like chills in my body and like, wow, like maybe there is angels in this room. And that was when this woman was singing, and her voice, it felt like her voice was not her voice. It was like taken over by another energy. And that was the closest that I got to feeling God's presence before I found breath work. And so I found breathwork by accident. I just saw a flyer where I was living in Steamboat Springs, Colorado at the time, and it said, come to Spirit Fest. I'm like, well, I love all things spiritual, so I might as well go to this. And we did an hour of conscious connected breathing, which is the main style of breath work that I lead. And my entire body was tingling. Like I felt this incredible euphoria, like you do when you make love to your partner and it's like out of this world. I'm like, wait, this is just me. This is just my breath. Like, how is it possible that I can create this much magic from within me? And so immediately I was hooked, and I kept going back for more and more. And the first 10 sessions were like completely life-changing. Each one was wildly different. I'm like, wait, this is the same style of breath. How is it creating such a different reaction? But breath work really gives you what you need. And so it was great that it hooked me with what I needed, was like, you know, the euphoria. But by the third time I was crying and releasing grief because a friend had passed away, got bit by a rattlesnake and died. And, you know, growing up, no one really teaches you how to properly deal with grief. So I was like, wow, grief, breath work, you know, supports me with processing grief, letting go of unstuck emotions and unstuck trauma that's in my body, helps me get clarity on my path. Like I had at least 10 things that breath work had helped me with by my 10th session. And this was just in group sessions. Like I hadn't even had a one-on-one session yet. So it completely blew my mind, and then brought me to my first ever retreat, which I also stumbled upon by accident, kind of found me. It was this breathwork retreat, and it was led by these facilitators that introduced me to breathwork. I'm like, well, I know the magic of their work, I might as well go. And my biggest intention was to release fear. I felt like I had been carrying this ball of fear in my stomach, where it felt like my stomach was like upside down for my entire life. Like, I'm like, oh, everyone feels this, right? I'm like, oh, wait, you don't feel this? Like, it's just me.
Yeah.
Not everyone feels this. Yeah. And so I realized like, wow, there's like a lot of energy that I get to release. And so I sourced and manifested a retreat that got me to face every single type of fear. You know, as soon as I got there, it was a rafting retreat. We were camping outside. But up until that point, I was deathly afraid of like bugs and ants, and the whole entire campground was like filled with ants. I'm like, how am I going to do this for 4 days? And so by day 4, I realized the ants are my angels. And I had the most incredibly deep spiritual experiences ever, from cacao ceremonies to breath work to inner child healing. I had a breath work download where it pretty much said, fix your mommy issues. And I said, well, what is that? Like, what does this have to do with spirituality? And it brought me back to a time where she told me that she had dropped me down the stairs when I was 1 and I broke my leg. And I realized like, oh, well, that wasn't her fault. I still run marathons. Like, I'm still good. Like, my legs are fine. Like, it didn't really affect me now. And I studied psychology in college, and I know that our developmental years like really imprint us, whether or not we consciously remember. And so I'm like, oh, I guess that's where all the fear came from in the first place. Now that I've acknowledged it, I can release that. And there was this water healing ceremony where we were in the lake, and they had this, all these people with like hands on me. And the last hand to come on me was on my stomach. And it felt like an angel hand was like taking the knot from my stomach and like releasing it up into the sky. And I haven't felt that upside down feeling since.
Oh,
so
wow.
That for me is spirit. That for me is spirituality. I had always struggled to quiet my mind to meditate. And I felt like meditation never really felt like the right fit for me. And with breath work, the cool thing about it is that it alters your state of consciousness, and it actually like activates DMT naturally in the brain, which a lot of people call the God molecule. And you would think about it, it's like DMT, yes, it can be a drug. And yes, I wouldn't take it if it was synthetic, but if it's created within you, it's like here for a purpose, right?
Yeah.
And our breath connects us to like body and soul. So the breath is, in my opinion, spirit. And so the most spiritual experiences I've ever had have been with breath work, and like what God has shown me, and like the angels that I've seen and my ancestors and everything. Like, that's how I know it was real all along. And I'm so glad I stumbled upon breath work, because well, one, it's what I do now, it's my purpose, but two, I don't think I ever would have found that spiritual connection that I was craving for when I was, attracted to church, but it didn't really give me like what I needed in my body to like know that God was a thing, and like know that we are all God consciousness. We are all one. There's something that's way bigger than just humanity. And to really put faith into that has been huge for growing my business, for building a deeper connection with my partner and myself.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. And when you speak about that, like breath coming from like divine source, it's so powerful. And I love how you talk about how it really is spirit. I mean, that is the thing that gives us life. So I love how, God uses these different modalities almost through us to create healing, to create love, to create whatever is required in the world. So your passion and your enthusiasm for it tells me that, oh my goodness, you're definitely a channel for this work. So thank you for sharing all of that. When did you kind of, like, you shared how was it the incident? I guess my bigger question is, when did you discover that this was your purpose? And what was the thing that made you realize this is what I'm supposed to do?
Yeah. There's many times, like even last month, I've had like one of the most profound breathwork experiences of my life. And I've been practicing this for years. It's crazy that it never gets old, which is why I love it. I would say that it was at that first retreat where I just felt the power that breathwork had done for me, that I'm like, I need to give this to my clients. And at the time I was a fitness coach, and I'm like, what if I could combine breath work with supporting people on their wellness journey? And there was another moment that was also pretty life-changing when I was on a cruise for part of my business coaching program that I was in at the time with my business coach and our mastermind. And I went to the yoga class that they were supposed to have. And the person on the boat says, oh, hey, yoga's canceled. Like, our person got food poisoning, no class today. And I, being the leader that I am, like, I'm certified in yoga, I'll teach the class.
Oh,
so
wow.
I taught the class. Yeah. And it ended up being right around the time of my first book launch, which was Fit Through Love, all about how to create more love in your life through fitness and moving your body, and that deep connection and relationship that you have with your body. And so at the end of the yoga class, I shared about it. I'm like, hey, and by the way, I just launched this book. If anyone is struggling with their relationship with food, this is my story. I'd struggled with binge eating disorder for 6 years, and I overcame it. And I used a variety of modalities such as breath work. And I just, gave them all the details. And this woman came up to me by the end of the class and she said, Adrienne, like what you just shared about your book, like I needed to come to this class and I didn't know why. And now I know why. Like, I've been struggling with binge eating disorder for 20 years. And it's like, it's real deep in there. And I just had this like flooding in my body that I'm like supposed to help her. And I'm like, forget all the cruise stuff, forget the cheesecake. We don't need any of that today. And I said, are you busy in an hour? Let's meet in my cabin and I'll lead you through breath work, a one-on-one session. And so I just felt like God was like, give her this gift right now. Like, trust me. And I'm like, okay, God. So I led her in breath work, and it was one of the most profound sessions I've ever had with a client to this day. I'll never forget it. And she essentially in 1 hour released 20 years of suppressed emotion and got to the root cause of her eating disorder, and was crying. It was beautiful. It was like so much to release and forgive. And I just had so much confirmation of like, this is my purpose. This is my path. Like, this changes lives. And her quote was like, this 1 hour was like 9 years of therapy in 1 hour.
Yeah.
It's so powerful. So, I mean, when you get clients results like that, like it's just mind blowing. And I know I was sharing with you earlier when I was doing fitness coaching, and I kind of was like, is this still my purpose? I was kind of getting tired of like, telling people how to do squats and telling people about nutrition. And I was going through my own journey of wanting to not be so regimented with fitness for once, because I had always been like, every day, wake up, every day, get better. Like, success is the only thing we're working towards. And I'm like, well, I just want to honor my body and like slow down enough to feel into what my body wants to do, and intuitive eating, and like really just was losing the connection for that. And that's really when breath work rose to the surface. And then my passion for business supported. And one of my best friends, who's also a spiritual channel, she shared, Adrienne, I really see you as a spiritual business coach. You're so good at this. You just channel all these business ideas for me and like for all these people, like this is your purpose. And so, yeah, I've just kind of combined the two and now have two different aspects of my business, but they flow into each other. Whenever I have a client for business that's feeling lost and not fully connected to their vision, it's like, when's the last time you've done breath work? It's like, that is really where you come back to your center. And it's like, you can have all the strategies in the world, but if you don't have alignment within yourself, it's not going to work.
That's right. We can pretend we want, but if we're not aligned, I've been learning that lesson lately. So I love that you said that. Yes. Love it. So it's very clear to me that, this is the thing. A lot of people, I think anyways, they may be skeptical, like perhaps they've come from a background where they've been hurt by the church, or they've been hurt by, maybe not even hurt, but just turned off by, the Bible thumping, you're going to go to hell if kind of languaging. And what I love about what we're talking about is that this is the kind of thing that escapes verbiage. Like you can't take what we're talking about and put it in a little container and label it and contain it. It's not containable. So I love what you're sharing because it really speaks into how, God, universe, like there's multiple ways to touch people, to really, and, if we open up the door, it's people, I remember thinking, if I decide that I'm going to say yes to God, then it means I have to be a good girl, go pray every weekend and sit in church, and I can't do anything bad. And, but that's such an old school mentality. It's really, when we say yes, we're actually saying yes to our desires, because the person I interviewed earlier today said it beautifully. He said, don't you think the inventor knows exactly what he's invented? So wouldn't he be the one to determine, what's best for what's being invented? And I'm like, yeah, that's so true. We think we know what we want sometimes, but it can be a little bit empty if we're not truly connected and aligned, like you said. What is your, I think you spoke into this with the person you bought into your cabin on the cruise, but what is the biggest why for you? Like, why do you get up every morning? What keeps you just on fire for this?
Really, my biggest why is like wanting people to have a life that they love, that like they experience love in every single thing. And it's so funny that is my why, because fit through love, like I was very close with that why for a while. Like I had the love in there. And it is true. Like you should love your body. You should love fitness. You should love your partner. You should feel that your relationship is so spiritually connected and tantric and amazing. You should feel that your business is your purpose and that lights you up and that you love your work. And so, it's really interesting because I've been reflecting on this a lot this week, and a lot of the other speaking events that I've been on, I've shared this, and it's not about the money. As a business coach, I'm sorry, but it's not about the money. Like I've created a lot of money and I've done it in a lot of different ways. I've done it aligned. I've done it in ways where I'm hustling. And the biggest thing is to remember that there's nowhere to get, which is a lesson that I had to learn a lot of times. I'm like, oh yeah, like once you buy the house and once you have this and once you do that, then you've made it. But there's nowhere to get. It's all about the process. It's all about connecting to yourself and experiencing love every single way. So, I mean, your work, your purpose, what you choose to do from 9 to 5, less hours or more hours, that ends up being like 2/3 of your life. So I'm super passionate about helping people create a business around it to give them that freedom to then have more sacred connection and quality time with their partner, their family, their dog, their loved ones, and also making a big impact doing what they love and what lights them up. And I know that there's probably a lot of people here listening and they've been feeling out of alignment with what they're doing, or they're feeling like they're just working and counting down the hours. And I felt like my soul was dying when I had my first desk job. I hated that I would just look at the clock and be like, oh, 2 more hours. Like what a sin to like wish away time. Time is so precious. It's the biggest gift that we can get. So breathwork has, constantly been a teacher for all the wisdom that I've acquired. I don't feel like I would have the wisdom that I have acquired now without breathwork. And one of the quotes that I always come back to is that each cycle of breath can only be lived once. after each cycle of inhale and each cycle of exhale, it's dead forever. I can never get that breath that I just breathed again. And when you think about that, it's so sacred. So can you bring in breath to, you know, love making with your partner? Can you bring in breath to the consciousness of holding space when you're coaching clients? Can you bring in breath when you're talking about something that brings you so much passion and joy and alignment? And so, yeah, like life is short. You might as well love what you're doing. And I really want people to make a lot of money doing it, but do it in alignment and feel really freaking awesome, like they're making a big impact and they're fulfilled with it.
Wow. I got goosebumps. I love it so much. And breathwork is something that I'll admit I haven't really explored much. So you have me
Maybe you
so
can come
curious.
on Sunday.
Sunday.
I'd love to have you come. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you have to give us the detail. Because that's what's so beautiful about this is that I've been seeking out in this series people who have different, you know, unique gifts. And there's going to be such a wide range of people looking. And I just think breathwork it sounds pretty fascinating. So I'm really excited that you're here to talk about that. So where would you be now, do you think, if you hadn't said yes to this poll? Where do you think you would be? What would your life look like if you had just sort of settled for the status quo and done what you were supposed to do?
If I had done what I was supposed to do, I would have joined a sorority in college, which I didn't do, thank goodness. I wouldn't have gone to the right college, and I wouldn't have met my fiance, my partner of 7 years, and the love of my life. I would probably be in DC, living very close to where my parents live, working a 9-to-5 desk job, and making my parents proud. And I share this because this was actually a wound of mine when I first started my business. I'll never forget, it was my first in-person speaking event, and we had a mastermind right before the event with all the other speakers, which, by the way, were amazing coaches. So we had these hot seats, and I was sitting there, and it was like literally there's a fire behind us. We're in this gorgeous Airbnb. I'm like sweating. I'm like, oh God, what are we about to go into? It's about to be crazy. And through that coaching, I got to one of the root causes of why I was afraid to show up in my power. And I had this belief that I'm like, oh, well, like if I actually fail my business and then I use my degree of technical writing and then I get a stable job, then I'll make my dad proud and then he'll love me more. And then I won't feel as guilty for having him invest in my college that I'm not using. Right. Yeah. So that's really like, you know, when you think about it, your inner child just wants your parents' approval. So breathwork helps a ton with like recognizing these inner child patterns that keep us stuck. And it was actually pretty profound. I ended up calling my dad, crying that day, saying like, Dad, like, what will it take for you to make me, like, I want to make you proud. Like, how will you be proud of me? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm already so proud of you. And it was so profound, so healing. And I ended up changing my speaking talk that night to, instead of talking about how to get abs, I talked about like relationship with dad. And it was profound, and they loved it. And like what breakthroughs I had. And like so many people were like, oh my God, inner child healing. Like this is so me. And so it was pretty profound. Yeah. I'm so glad that I took the leap of faith and like found breathwork, have deepened my spiritual journey, have really made my relationship my biggest priority. And then also followed the challenges of entrepreneurship, because I think a lot of people here are afraid to take that risk. You know, there is that risk. Yeah. You have to show up and you have to make money in order to pay your bills. Totally. But it comes back to trust. Like, do you trust yourself? And for a lot of years, I didn't trust myself. And then I healed that through breathwork. And now I trust myself, and I trust myself even more than anyone who would ever employ me. So it's pretty awesome when you can connect to source energy and you realize like how much abundance there is. One exercise that I'll share that a business coach shared with me was write down 100 ways you can make money. Once you do that exercise, you'll never feel scared again, because you can whip up anything and make money tomorrow if you need. So super helpful.
Yeah.
It's not as scary. Yeah.
It's not, it really isn't, but we get so like swallowed up by scarcity and fear and feelings of lack sometimes that it's hard to see all that. So you're right. If you could just write them all down, none of us are incompetent. We can create whatever we want to create. We just have to take that action. So if there was one single, that was a great idea, but if there was one single action item, maybe in terms of even breath work, what might you say to our audience today that would really support them in just digging a little deeper and exploring what this means for them?
Yeah. If you want to connect deeper spiritually and you really want to connect deeper to your why, that why that makes you cry, that why that freaking gets you chills all over your body and like really makes you want to scream from the rooftops,
Yeah.
do breath work because you can journal all day. You can talk to a million mentors. You can even have a coaching session with me, but it's not going to be as powerful as you doing your own breathwork session because the answers are already within you. You know yourself best and better than anyone. And so if you can do breathwork, give yourself that gift of undivided attention to go within, to connect spiritually and feel from your heart, like what your heart's purpose is rather than what your head's purpose is or what looks good on paper. That's really where you're going to find the most fulfillment. And life is about fulfillment. The money will come once you're fulfilled. And yeah, chasing fulfillment and love rather than money. Money comes second. Yeah.
I love that. So where would they, well, let's first jump to what you would like to offer as your free gift today. And maybe that'll answer this question, but I'll see.
This is perfect. So yes, my free gift for everyone is to come to our next Sunday breathwork session for free. If you can't make this upcoming Sunday, you can come to a future Sunday, but you get one free session for our Sunday breathwork, currently from 5:30 to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And that is in a group setting on Zoom from the comfort of your home. And it's a really powerful way to have that space held for you. We recommend that you have at least 10 sessions in a group setting or one-on-one before doing it on your own, because it can be really deep work, what can come up. And I like to say that with a breathwork session, you can have an intention and you don't know what you're always going to get, but you always get what you need. And a lot of the times it's about manifesting and receiving, just like the inhale breath, you're taking things in. And a lot of other times it's about releasing. It's about healing the trauma. It's about crying it out. It's about healing the things that are keeping you stuck. So whether you need to take things in or release, it'll give you just that. Every single session will be different. Try one, it'll change your life. That is what I can promise you. And yeah, it's powerful. It's powerful. There's so many different modalities of breath work too. So some people love circular connected breath. There's also 3-part breath. Some people have a preference. And when you can really find what works for you and like blast your heart open, that's like, it's literally a one-stop shop, which for a while made me kind of sad because I had this addiction to like seeking. I'm like, no, I want to find like the next best healing. I want to find the next best thing. I'm like, oh, that's a trap. Like, like we've already found the most amazing thing ever. And of course, the most amazing thing ever is already within you. Like God put everything we need on this earth. And it's making me super excited because we're about to lead a retreat in the Amazon jungle. And the last time I was in the Amazon, our tour guide was sharing like, oh, this plant you use to cure this tree you use to cure this. And it's like abundance is all around us. God gave us everything we need. It's the illusion that we don't have everything that we already need. So free breath work, come to that. And then for anyone here who has a business and is looking for strategies to scale, on the free gift page that I have, you can scroll down and there's a 15-minute business consultation that I'd love to gift as well. So would love to support you guys.
Thank you so much. That's so generous of you because I know there's just so much out there and sometimes it's hard to know where to take that first step. So this is a beautiful opportunity. Let's just see what this is about. And yeah, for those of you who are looking into starting a business or building your business or whatever, I can't think of a better person in terms of just the energy you have and the passion you have and the authenticity, right? And so I just want to thank you so much for sharing all that with us today. I also want to know, like, do you have any other sort of concluding thoughts or anything you want to just share with our viewers today before we close off?
Yeah, what's channeling through is to remind you that patience is key.
Patience.
It did not take me overnight to get to where I'm at. And I was sharing this with you. I've done 7 summits myself to build my audience. I've done so much different things. I've created so many different offers, some that have gone well, some that haven't. And it all comes back to what I shared earlier. It's about the journey. It's about putting yourself out there, knowing that every single thing that you do is either a lesson or a massive success, and both are gifts. So all you have to do is start. You know, like the worst thing you can do is pretend that you don't know your purpose. Like the clients that come to me, the only ones that stay stuck are the ones that don't choose their purpose. And I got to show you guys this because I share this with a lot of clients. This oracle card here says direction guardian. Choose your path. Honestly, I would be making massive millions probably if I was still with fitness coaching. Like, you know, like I would have success with fitness coaching. I did relationship coaching for a while. I had success with that. Business coaching, like I could have success with anything that I choose. And I think that so many people, they think, oh, I only have one life purpose. But I'll tell you what, I couldn't have been a business coach 4 years ago when I was starting my business. I didn't know anything about business. I was just starting, right? So you have different purposes in different parts of your life. When I'm 70 years old, I bet you my purpose will be different. It will evolve. The only thing that's constant is change. And we're always changing. We're always constantly changing. And so to follow your passion and to connect with breathwork and to know what you feel most alive about today, right now, at this point in your life, that's what you should move forward with. It's okay to change your mind later. It's okay to evolve. Humans change. Don't get too hung up on, is this my purpose forever? Because I bet you it won't be forever. That's the illusion. Yeah.
And I think there is an illusion too, that there's only one. You can have multiple purposes, you know, and when you really just surrender and just be in the flow of it, you'll find that same, you know, source, God, spirit is evident, like abundant in your business and your family and your life. Like it's not like you can, you know, categorize things and put them away. So you're not, you know, Adrienne on screen, but you're going to be a different Adrienne when you go, you know, do your thing at home kind of thing. So yeah, I love that because you're right. It could be multiple purposes for sure.
Love that.
Yes. So Adrienne, thank you. This has been so uplifting and amazing and inspiring. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart and on behalf of everyone that's going to be watching this. Thank you. And definitely I will, if you want to catch, you know, Adrienne, be sure to follow up on the links that are provided and don't miss out. This sounds pretty spectacular.
Yes. Excited to see you at breathwork.
Yes. Okay. Well, take care. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.